Hello, my friend. Today I'm excited because I'm gonna be working with dough, and this is my favorite thing to do. We will do a type of bread. It's like a bagel that is sold in the Middle East and in the Mediterranean, around the Mediterranean. So I know the Greeks have one, which is Thessaloniki Kuluri, it's called. The Turks, they have the Semit. The Palestinians, they have the Jerusalem bread, and they are all covered with a lot of sesame seed, and they vary in the recipe a little bit, but I developed this delicious recipe that is so simple and it's so delicious. Let's get started. I have here 3 cups of flour, and this is bread flour I'm using. I have a tablespoon of yeast, which I'm gonna pour into the flour. I have a teaspoon of salt. I will also put in the flour. And I have 2 teaspoons up to a tablespoon of sugar that goes into. It can't be simpler than this. So 3 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of yeast, and 2 teaspoons or a tablespoon of sugar. Now this is gonna go into my mixer with the dough attachment. I'm gonna put it in. Just mix a little bit to mix all the ingredients together. That's all it needs. And into this, I will pour 1 1/3 cup of water to knead the dough. So now I warmed the water into lukewarm, and I'm gonna add it into the dough all together and knead the dough a little bit until it's pliable and nice. So now that the dough all came together, that's all we need. I turned it off, and I will just pull it down from the hook, and I will show you the texture. It's a little tacky, but it doesn't stick on the hands, but it's perfect texture. So it has to be pliable and soft, a little tacky, and now it will need to rest and rise. When it doubles in size, we will continue to show you how to shape and how to bake those delicious sesame breads. Now that the dough has rised, I poured it into this board here. I'm gonna cut it into 8 pieces. And as you see, the dough is soft and tacky, but that's what you want. You take the dough and you roll it. So in Greece, you will see them being just round like this. See how sticky it is, but that's what you want. They are just round like this. For the Jerusalem one, I will put 2 tablespoons of sugar instead, and I will pump up the salt. In Jerusalem, they make them into this shape, like that. In Turkey, they call them simit. They make it really, really thin rope, and then they just roll it just like this, and they connect it at the edge, and then they flatten it, and you have the Turkish simit. Now for me, sometimes I like to make them into little balls like this, about a walnut size ball, and I end up with sesame dipped little tiny breads for a little snack. Now, those are the shapes that could be done, and you can use your imagination and flow with that. Now, those we're gonna dip in sesame seed and molasses or honey if you don't have molasses. So this sesame seed, I have a plate full of it. Normally, what they do, they have two plates. One plate has warm water with the molasses in it, and that makes the sesame stick on the bread, because we dip the bread in the water with the molasses, and then we dip it in the sesame, and then we put it on the pan for it to rest for 10 minutes or so until it rises again, and then we bake it. Or, for easier and less mess, what I do is I put molasses, and this is, I'm using carob molasses. You can use grape molasses, anything that it has good flavor that you like, or you can use a little bit of honey too. And so I wet my sesame just a little bit. I put about a tablespoon of water in there, and I mix the sesame with the molasses and the water. Okay, as you see, you achieve this texture, which is like wet, thick sand on the beach. Now, you take the dough and you just dip it in this sesame, roll it in to cover it on all sides, and you put it in the pan that you're gonna bake it in, all sides, and then shape it in the pan to become the shape that you want. This is the Jerusalem one. Now the balls, I'm gonna put them in another pan because they cook in a different timing, because they are different shape, and they might take a little more actually to cook because they are thicker centered than the other ones. Let those rest for about 10-15 minutes. You will see that they have rested and they are starting to rise again. It can be up to even half an hour if it's cold. And then bake them in 375 degrees until they are crispy and good. About 10-15 minutes, I'll tell you exactly when I bake them. Now each oven is different, so keep an eye so you can get the best result that you could. Okay, now we have our kakel oats or semit or kuluri is ready. I just want to show you the texture inside. It's crispy, nice from the outside, and it's perfect from the inside. Delicious. In Jerusalem, they dip it in za'atar, and that is the most delicious street food that you can have in Jerusalem. It's simple, but it's in the heart of every Palestinian. Enjoy!